The first day that I went to architecture school, I quickly realized everyone that's in the room are in the same boat. Hello, this is part 2 of the Q&A I am doing about KTH and studying specifically architecture at KTH, but there are some more general questions. So let's just jump right into it. Question number 1 is, I'm in year 8 now and I'd like to join to your College for Architectural Engineering course. I want to prepare myself for it. Can you help me out? What are the requirements? So there are some general requirements and then there are some course-specific requirements that you want to have a look at. And usually universities have those listed on their website, and KTH is no different. So the entry requirements for master's studies are having a bachelor's degree, English proficiency, and then specific course documents. But then when it comes to program-specific documents for architecture in particular, there's obviously the portfolio. And I have a lot of questions about the portfolio, so I guess we can really talk a bit about that. And I had some questions about how to curate your portfolio. And as I mentioned in the previous video, just stick to the rules. That's the basic information. But when it comes to what you actually include, you want to make sure that your portfolio is clear, that it's easily legible, that it's consistent, kind of nice to have a rhythm and flow. Make sure that you have a certain style to it. So maybe there's a specific layout that you enjoy, or maybe just your actual drawings have a specific style. And I think that would be very nice to make that show in your portfolio. It's just about showing the scope and range of your work. They want you to show what you can do and what you're capable of. It's all stated in the instructions, so it's really simple. Just make sure you stick to the rules and show and express your skills. Okay, next question. So I've been working in the film industry for 3 years. In the light department, I'm feeling it's time for me to switch things up. And long story short, this person is asking if this architecture program is the right fit for you. And does the program focus on any kind of one architecture, or is it just like housing design and so on? So the course itself is very wide. I think if you're doing architecture like from scratch, doing your bachelor's degree and then your master's, it really teaches you everything. It has a very holistic approach. So from my experience, both in the UK and in Sweden, it has been an experience of really learning from detail work to interior design to facade design to kind of more urban design projects. It's been about learning history and theory of architecture, about the technology, about sustainability of the architecture and built environment industry. So it's been a little bit of everything. And in your bachelor's degree, you really learn the basics from how to draw things in a technical way, how to design details or technical details. For example, what would a wall look like if you cut through it? They teach you how to design, so they kind of show you how to conceptualize and visualize architecture. I mean, there's so much to learn. So it's a really wide array of knowledge that you're being taught. But as I said, bachelor's degree is more about learning how to approach architecture and how to represent it. And then your master's, with that knowledge, you can just apply it to more ambitious, more maybe utopian even visions of architecture, and really push yourself and kind of push the understanding of what architecture means to you. I don't know if this is very clear for someone that is outside of the industry, but basically the 5 years that you spend are super intense. And in my opinion, if after the first year you just don't feel as passionate or you don't feel as interested in it, I don't think it's worth it. And that's just my opinion. So of course, I cannot make a decision for you, but I think architecture, similar to any degree that lasts longer than 3 years, you have to really have a passion for it. Otherwise, it's not worth it. It's just gonna make you burn out and be unhappy. It's a super intense course because it is so creative. So you constantly have to practice that muscle of creating new things, creating new perspectives, coming up with ideas, solving problems. So there's a lot that you have to constantly come up with, which can be a bit taxing after some time, since you have to replenish your creativity bucket before you use it. So it can be intense in that way. Also, the workload is pretty intense because it's usually not everywhere, but in my experience in the UK and in Sweden, there are not that many exams and there's not much testing on the way. There's more representation, presentations, and evaluating work as you go. So it's really coursework based, which means that you don't really get a break anytime during the semester. It's constant production and constant representation of your skills and things that you learned. And another thing is it's very social in a way, because in architecture school you have to learn how to communicate with people, how to present your project, how to sell your project. There's a lot of presentation in front of people, which of course you can get better at, and of course you can practice and just improve. But if you don't feel comfortable speaking in front of people, this might be challenging, and this is something you can overcome easily, but just to put that out there. To answer the question specifically, no, you don't really learn one specific typology that you design. You learn how to design small scale buildings, little housing projects, but then you can also design these big, almost constellations of these constructions. So there's a lot of scope and there's a lot of different scales that you work with. You also will probably work a lot by hand. So you make models, not only drawings on your laptop, but you also make things that are physical, which I personally really enjoy because it gives you that variety during the year and during the years ahead. I also got a question of how to prepare for studying architecture, and in my opinion, there's no one way of preparing. This might sound a little wishy-washy, but I think architecture really teaches you how to observe people, how to understand people, how to create spaces where people feel a certain way or feel a certain thing. You kind of control with buildings and with street design how people move around. So it's all about learning about the human behavior in a way and understanding the kind of nuances of just everyday life. So I think there's no real preparation when it comes to like technical skills. Of course, if you are great at drawing, if you have, I don't know, you're great at watercolors, or you have a specific artistic skill, that is definitely a plus. I know that in some schools, especially in Poland right now, and in other countries, there is a skill test when you apply to your bachelor's degree, where you actually have to draw things by hand. So I guess that's one way of preparing. I mean, personally, before applying to bachelor's degree, I actually went to a drawing class. I think it was like 6 hours a week for a year. So I knew how to draw by hand, and that's how I also created a portfolio that I applied with. But other than those skills of drawing and maybe just even reading a little bit about maybe buildings that you're interested in or things that you see, or mimicking some kind of architecture that you meet on the daily, I don't really have any advice of how to prepare, because a good architecture school will take you from day one to the very end and like teach you every step of the way. That's how I think a good architecture should function, because at the end of the day, you don't really learn architecture before university, or usually you don't learn before that. So yeah, I don't think you should be worried. I mean, I remember one question that I would also add personally is how to deal with imposter syndrome, because that's definitely something I felt even applying to architecture school, because you think, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna know all these different things, and then I don't know the words, I don't know the language of architecture, I don't know anything about the industry. I think I like designing, I think I like drawing, so I also like maths, maybe something between is architecture, blah blah blah. That's kind of what I was thinking. But don't worry about it. I know it's easier said than done, but on the first day, that I went to architecture school, I quickly realized everyone that's in the room are in the same boat. Everyone here applied to architecture school knowing a very small fraction of what it entails. They knew that they liked drawing perhaps, or they liked the technical aspects, or yes, I would like to design my own house one day. So all of us had the same, like, very narrow knowledge about it. And you kind of learn along the way. Of course, the more time you spend at something, the more likely you'll get better at it. The more you push yourself and challenge yourself and learn about something, the better you'll get. So I think the best way to really succeed in architecture school is keep being curious, keep being interested in what you do, and don't be scared to really just experiment and try new things and really ask questions. The teachers, I mean, this is the third video I'm saying this, but ask questions to the teachers, to your peers. I mean, if you have a studio space, which basically means that you have like this typically open plan room where everyone has a workstation and you and your peers will just like work there on your project. If you have a space provided like that, use it. In my opinion, it's one of the best places to be because you will learn from each other. Some people will have better model making skills, some people will know more technical details, and if you're friends with these people, you will learn from them. So yeah, that would be my advice. But imposter syndrome is very normal. I think everyone has this like big vision of how everyone else is somehow better than them at certain things, but the reality is all of you will have the same qualifications at the end of the day if you complete the course, of course. But yeah, I think that's all. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions. If you have any ideas for videos that I should record, then also let me know. I have an Instagram and an architecture Instagram, so you can also check these out and perhaps you'll get some inspiration there. And yeah, that's all for me. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye! I think this is a thing now. Okay, bye.